This that you see on screen here, it's got almost as good of a record as J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum. I think we're like 35 of 36. Only lost was Michigan State in 2021. So if you like Michigan to beat Washington, like the video. We need like 2,000 likes on this video. Not the live video, the on-demand. We're going to put it up on Friday. If you like to beat Washington, you got to like this video. Don't jinx it. Let's put out the good vibes. Put out the good vibes because I'm coming for you. If you don't like the video, Michigan will lose to Washington. Oh, man, you're going to be sitting there. I'm going to kick in your door. That's going to be bad news for you guys. We have got our Michigan-Washington preview and score predictions. Kind of breaking down this big-time college football game. It's the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports. Let's get it going right now. All right, quarterback matchup, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., two boys that started in the Big Ten. Only one got to stay in the Big Ten. That's McCarthy, of course, and Penix Jr. I think he should win the Heisman. I thought that all season. I didn't think that Jaden Daniels losing those games was worthy of the Heisman. But he's throwing for, let's just call it, 130 yards more per game than J.J. McCarthy, and a touchdown and a half or so more than McCarthy as well. Now, he's thrown a few more interceptions, and I think he's had as bad of as many worse or bad games that JJ's had. Down the stretch, JJ took a lot of heat for only throwing one touchdown in the 4 games leading up to the college football playoff. But Michael Penix Jr., right? He had a couple interception game against Arizona State. He struggled against Arizona, against other teams. So I don't necessarily think that by any shape of the word that Michael Penix is unbeatable and he's unstoppable as a quarterback. This isn't Joe Burrow of 2019, although his stats are starting to resemble Burrow. And I think this team of Washington is in some ways poor defense, unbelievable offense, resembling that LSU team in 2019 as well. But Michigan owes him some revenge. You guys have got to remember this one. This is the game that I came into this studio, Jack, and I said, thank you, Jim Harbaugh. Thank you for bringing Michigan back to a relatively respectable place in college football, a top 15 program, but your time is done. They need to fire Jim Harbaugh. I regret saying that, but you lose to Indiana the week after losing to Michigan State when you're up, you're favored by 20 points. Michigan lost to Indiana after 33 years at this point, 38-21. Joe Milton looked absolutely terrible, and Michael Penix Jr. lit Michigan up 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. You never lose to Indiana as a Michigan football head coach, but Michigan did it. But maybe it's just because Indiana wasn't outplaying Michigan at that point. They maybe just had a special player that they will once again face in the college football playoff national championship game. Penix had himself a day in the Sugar Bowl, 76% completion, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Now, he tore apart a kind of putrid Texas secondary. I think the weakest part of their team in that game. Coming into this game now, it's a Big Ten, Pac-12 traditional matchup, but really in all sense and purposes, it is a all Big Ten national championship game. Michigan at number 1, both these teams 14-0. But I think the outlier here, at least for me, is the scoring defense, which is 53rd for Washington, but the total defense, which is in the 90s for that Washington Huskies team, is the difference. Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite. 55.5 points is the over-under. I think the game's going to go over that because I don't think Michigan's going to have any trouble scoring. Maybe not any trouble. They're going to be able to score in Washington, and Washington's going to score no matter what. So I think the game is going to go over that 55 number, although I hope it doesn't because the lower the score, I think the better for Michigan's chances to win this game. Let's take a look at my keys to victory in this game. Number 1, you got to hit Michael Penix with a 4-man rush. If you go back to look at that Texas game, which is honestly that and the original Oregon game in the regular season, kind of the games I've watched the most of Penix all year, usually it's just highlights or catching a quarter here, quarter there, is Texas was able to get in and rush him, but Penix is so good at moving around the pocket. It's kind of like Tom Brady. Just takes a step forward, takes a step back, avoids the rush, fires downfield, and as such, they weren't able to hit him. Right? They rushed and blitzed, I think it was 16 times, only got 1 sack against him to Texas on Monday, New Year's Day. Michigan, if they can do what they did against Alabama, which is blitz at opportune times, but get a rush, consistent rush. All 4 guys. If you've got the middle 2 guys not doing anything, 1 guy come off the edge, it's very easy to avoid that if you're a good quarterback in the pocket like Penix. You just see the guy coming, you step up in the pocket. You run here, you go over here. It's fine. If all 4 guys are coming, if Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and Chris Jenkins are collapsing the middle, then all of a sudden he's got to step away his left-handed quarterback. Then you got a guy here. He turns around. Another guy coming here. It is lights out. Game over for Michael Penix. Blitz, when it works in your favor to blitz, make sure you put those blitzes. Jack, you said 6 blitzes in the first half against Alabama, 5 sacks. Use that kind of efficiency and get all 4 guys collapsed in the pocket. Penix is going to look flustered. He's not going to be able to get the job done like he has all season long. Number 2, Michigan's got to run the ball. And that's pretty simple, right? We know that. I think J.J. McCarthy is probably underperformed passing the ball versus expectations so far this year. I think he's over, performed expectations in other areas of the team. We'll talk more about Michigan's running attack in a second. But if you guys want all the coverage from Houston or bust, it's like our political slogans just come true, Jack. Beat Ohio State again, check. Houston or bust, check. Subscribe to the channel. 30,000 people, 30,317 have already subscribed. Let's get to 31,000 by Monday, a national championship celebration. Jack, have you scouted the gentlemen's clubs yet? Because we said we might go 24-hour live stream somewhere. It's like 1 week is too close to these games. If you travel one, it's so close. I got literally 40 hours turnaround. They go right back out to a game. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Take a look at Blake Corum, right? Slow start again in the running. They had a couple nice runs in the first half, but nothing crazy. And then it happened when it mattered down the stretch of the game, which for me obviously was in overtime. 2 runs, touchdown, 8 yards, and then 17 yards. But where Blake Corum made a difference in this game was that 4th and 2 catch that went for 30 or so there. And then the touchdown, the first touchdown of the game, both where he started as a blocker, just slipped underneath the coverage, walked into the end zone in the first one, walked 30-plus yards down the field on the other. Those 2 touchdowns, he is now the leading touchdown scorer in the history of Michigan football. But he's got a few passing touchdowns, receiving, and then, of course, has those 56 rushing touchdowns to lead this program all time. Michigan's a running team, all right? Don't stress, though, if the running game isn't popping off early. I just equate this a lot to the Ohio State, Washington, even that Penn State game this year, even though those defenses are much better, Ohio State, Penn State, than Washington is Michigan's going to ball him. They're going to hit him. They're going to hit him. Did you see that one play, 4th down play? There's a zoom in. I can't remember who tweeted it out. I think it was Cole Kubelik, whatever, from ESPN. It's like a zoom in of the lines, and Michigan on 4th and 1 just crashed through the Alabama line. That's going to happen, so it's going to wear down this Washington defensive front. They're not nearly as deep as Michigan is either on either side of the ball. By the 4th quarter and the 3rd quarter, Michigan will start breaking off 10 yards, 12 yards. Those 3-yard runs will turn to 8. Those 7-yard runs will turn to 17, and that is how Michigan's going to win this game. Against this defense, okay, 94th in the country, giving up a 404 yards per game. Awful passing defense, right? They're getting up 120. Now, that's probably in part because they got up on a lot of teams, and those teams had to abandon the running game and pass to catch up. But they gave up a bunch of rushing yards too, right? 41st in the country. And one thing they did well, right? They gave up a lot of yards, rushing, passing, etc. They didn't give up as many points. So you see those numbers, 94th in yards, only 53rd in points. They did a pretty good job of creating turnovers and hunkering down in the red zone. So the keys to victory for me, run the beep ball, and you're going to get a win. I've got 3 more for you and a lot more on this game. But first, I really want to tell you about Prize Picks. Make sure you guys are getting going with Prize Picks for the national championship game and get a $100 deposit match using prizepicks.com/CLNS. Click on that link. Use the code CLNS. You'll get up to a $100 deposit match for first-time customers. These are my picks for this week's NFL game, right? I got Tua. I'm going more on his picks. That's how simple it is, right? They put some yards in front of me, 264.5 yards for Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going more. Tyreek Hill, receiving yards, I'm going more. And then Stephon Diggs, they've got receiving yards for him. I'm going less. It's super easy to play. You just pick more or less on the stats that Prize Picks put in front of you, and you're going up to 25 times your money. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. You pick 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 players on one entry, and you just pick more or less on the stats that Prize Picks puts in front of you. Go get going with Prize Picks. Make some Prize Picks for the national championship game. You'll have a ton of fun, and it will be awesome. We got a $200 super chat coming from John Blaze. We'll get to you in a moment, Johnny Blaze. I'll see you in Houston. Let's keep rolling with this keys to victory. Bend, but don't break, right? Bend between the 20s. I think Michael Penix will throw for over 300 yards in this game. I don't think Michigan fans have to freak out if he does that, because look back to 2021, right? Basically the same offense, I think, Ohio State, right? A first-round quarterback. I think Penix he's the left-handed version of C.J. Stroud in my mind. He really is. Stroud went 34 of 49, 394 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, Ohio State fans would have saw that and said, 394, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. We blew Michigan out. But they didn't get it done in the red zone. Let's take a look at these wide receivers for Washington. Here's who they went against 2 years ago against Ohio State. Jackson Smith-Njigba, top 15 pick. Garrett Wilson, top 15 pick. Chris Olave. Those guys between them had 28 catches, and whatever the math on that is, well over 300 yards. But you see that last line, only 1 touchdown. Bend, but don't break, folks. That is what Michigan, I think, is planning to do. I would expect them to do. I haven't got any practice intel yet. Hoping to get some when we get to Houston and kind of nudge a few of the insiders. Maybe have a little cocktail late at night, get some game plan. We'll have that for you live Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Here are the guys that this Michigan defense is going to be up against. Rome Odunze, maybe the best wide receiver in the country. Absolutely absurd. Caught about 90 catches, 1,600 yards, all kinds of touchdowns. And then the guys in there. They've got a great tight end in Jack Westover, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polks. They have got 3 wide receivers that are up there with production to those Ohio State guys. I don't think they'll even be top 15 picks that those Buckeye guys were. And a highly productive tight end. But again, bend but don't break, and Michigan will get the victory. How about that pre-snap motion? Right? It was a thing of beauty. And we talked about the Michigan game. I see you, the Los Angels, the $5 super chat. We're with you in a moment on that. Jack, you hear me talk about the Michigan or the Stanford game against Virginia Tech, right? Harbaugh's last game there. The beautiful part of that is by the fourth quarter, when they were up by 3 or 4 scores, they were just doing motions just to toy with Virginia Tech. It'd be like 3 tight ends, shift left, 2, shift right, 1 goes in the backfield, the running back goes out. They were that's what Michigan was doing on offense, not to that level, but the pre-snap motion. I just want more of it because the Alabama defender said it confused them. They didn't know who to cover. And I think you can call it responsible for Michigan's first touchdown to Blake Corum, the 4th and 2 to Blake Corum, and certainly on that touchdown to Roman Wilson to tie the game up right before, a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, the game-tying touchdown at 20 late in the fourth quarter. This Washington team has been in close games, though. Maybe the best close game team we've ever seen in college football, right? Look at that as you go down the list there. Once you get end of the month of September, you got a 1-score win against Arizona. You got a 1-score win against Oregon. You got a 1-score win against Arizona State. You got a 9-point win, so it's still technically 2 against Stanford. 10-point win against USC. 1-score win against Utah. Keep it rolling here. The rest of their schedule, a 2-point win. So again, 1 score. 1 score again against Washington State. 1 score against Oregon. And then 1 score against Texas. There was 8 games, either 8 or 9-0 in 1-score games. That's as good as I've ever seen in college football. So if this game is tight, Michigan just proved they can win 1-score games against Alabama, against Ohio State, against Penn State. But this Washington team, they're maybe the best 1-score team I've ever seen in college football. That means they trust each other, trust their coaching staffs, they don't freak out, and they've got a game plan to execute come crunch time. So I'm hoping Michigan is up by 3 or 4 scores and doesn't even matter. But predict the score of this game: Michigan versus Washington National Championship game. Let you guys predict it down in the comments and the live chat. My score prediction, official 42-24. Michigan is going to get this national championship victory. I see you, Iceman. Count for the $20 super chat. We'll put up on screen here in a moment. Jack, tell the people your score prediction.
I'm going with Michigan, 35-27, a close-ish game, but it's going to be a good one.
Yep. All right. Jack's got 35-27. Let's see a live chat. Michigan ain't no Stanford, homie. Yeah, much better than Stanford, I think. I think much better than Stanford. I hope that's what you mean. Iceman Comp will get to yours in a moment. Keep up the pre-snap motion. Confuse them. And I just thought Michigan's playbook, which is really good against, there's the middle of the second quarter through basically the end of the third quarter. Nothing was going on. I was kind of confused what was going on there. But when it counted, the last touchdown, the first touchdown, the 4th and 2, the motion, Michigan made great play calls on offense all game long, including on the last drive. They let J.J. McCarthy, after the 4th and 2, J.J. McCarthy kind of, had 2 guys pull on to the right side, open up a lane down the sideline, 15 or so yards, let J.J. McCarthy make some more plays. Frankly, the Diamond Edwards pass back, one-handed catch, stop, turn, and we have to do throw, like a catch like this, then turn. I can't do that because I got a cord. Turn around, spun, threw it on a dime, 25 yards downfield to Roman Wilson. One of the top 5 most athletic plays I've ever seen a Michigan football player make. Pretty good game. The Rose Bowl is one of it's a great place to watch a game, but if you're watching there, don't expect to have any internet, no cell signal, no Wi-Fi. They get the Michigan plan there. And they just don't really put the stats on screen for players at all. It's even tough to figure out what the team stats are. So I was like, oh man, JJ's about 50% passing today because he's missing a few passes, most notably to Cornelius Johnson on the right sideline that one time. But finished up pretty decent stats, right? 17 of 27, 221. Also got 25 yards rushing, most of them on that one screen, sneak we just talked about, the one rush to the right side in the fourth quarter. 3 touchdown passes to his high school teammate Tyler Morris, to Roman Wilson, and of course to Blake Corum. Let me know where you guys are watching this game from. Are you watching it from your couch at home? Are you watching it at your friend's house? You go there, type in F for your friends. Are you going to a bar? Let me know what you guys think in there. It says Rose Bowl Jack. We mean national championship game. There you go. Where are you watching the national championship game? Type C for couch, F for your friend's house, B for a bar. Or if you're going to the game, if you're going to be in Houston like John Blaze is, give me an H in the live chat or in the comments. That is our Michigan-Washington preview. Let me know where you're watching at. It's the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports.